The evening sky was painted in soft hues of gold and lavender as the final rays of sunset melted into night. The garden shimmered beneath strings of lights, and the faint hum of laughter drifted across the open space. Guests were still buzzing from the ceremony, one that had already left many teary-eyed. Becky and Freen's wedding had felt like a dream unfolding in real time. Every vow, every touch, every look between them told a story that was deeper than words could capture. But the night wasn't over. Not yet. When Freen excused herself quietly during the reception, a few people noticed. Mostly the fans who had managed to attend and couldn't take their eyes off her. She disappeared for just a few minutes, but when she returned, there was a spark in her eyes that caught everyone's attention. Becky was standing near the center of the garden, surrounded by friends and laughter, when Freen walked up behind her and gently took her hand. Becky turned, her eyes lighting up instantly, the kind of reaction that never needed rehearsing. It was raw, genuine, full of love. "What are you up to now?" Becky teased, sensing that familiar glint of mischief in Freen's gaze. Freen only smiled, her thumb tracing soft circles over Becky's knuckles. "Just come with me," she whispered. The music faded slightly as they began to walk, hands intertwined, down a path lit with candles. Guests began murmuring in curiosity, some following from a distance, others raising their phones to record. Becky laughed softly, her wedding gown sweeping lightly across the ground. "You're making me nervous," she said, half laughing, half curious. "You'll see," Freen murmured. When they reached the far end of the garden, a hush spread through the crowd. The air felt heavier somehow, expectant. And then, as if timed perfectly with the soft hum of the night, a curtain of rose petals began to fall from above, showering them in pink and silver. That's when Becky saw it. Parked beneath an arch of glowing lights stood a car. Not just any car, but a luxury pink masterpiece that seemed to shine brighter than the stars themselves. Its sleek curves reflected the lights and flowers around it, and the silver ribbon tied around its hood glistened like silk. For a second, Becky couldn't move. Her lips parted in astonishment, her breath caught somewhere between disbelief and awe. The crowd gasped behind her, phones snapping wildly, but she didn't hear any of it. All she saw was Freen, standing there, watching her reaction with soft, trembling eyes. "Oh my God," Becky whispered, her voice shaking as tears began to well up. "Freen, what is this?" Freen smiled gently, though her eyes glistened too. "Do you remember a long time ago," she said softly, "you told me that one day, if you ever got married, you wanted to drive away from the ceremony in a pink car?" Becky covered her mouth, tears spilling freely down her cheeks. "You remembered that?" "I remember everything that makes you smile," Freen said, her voice tender, almost breaking. "You didn't think I'd forget, did you?" Becky shook her head slowly, her heart pounding as she turned toward the car again. "It's perfect," she whispered. "It's beyond perfect." Freen took a small step closer, her hands reaching out to hold Becky's. "This isn't just a car," she said. "It's a promise. Wherever we go from today, we'll go together. Every road, every journey, every beginning, it'll always be us." And that was all it took for Becky to lose it completely. She fell into Freen's arms, crying and laughing at once, clutching her tightly as the crowd erupted into applause. Cameras flashed, guests cheered, and somewhere in the background, a soft piano melody began to play. It wasn't planned. It just fit. The fans online who were streaming the moment in real time couldn't hold back either. Within minutes, the internet exploded with emotion. Hashtags like #FreenBeckyForever, #PinkPromise, and #TheCarOfLove began trending globally. Clips of Becky crying into Freen's shoulder flooded social media. The world was watching, and for a few beautiful hours, everything online was just love. But what many didn't know was the story behind the surprise. Freen had been planning it for months. She'd worked with a luxury car designer to have the shade of pink custom mixed. Not just any pink, but Becky's pink. The same tone Becky had once worn during their first official shoot together. The color of the dress she'd worn the night Freen had first told her she was falling in love. Every detail, down to the stitching of the seats, had meaning. Inside the car, embroidered on the headrest, were 2 words in silver thread, "Our Forever." When Becky noticed it later that night, she broke down all over again. "I can't believe you did all this," she whispered, tracing the embroidery with her fingers. Freen just smiled, leaning close. I wanted our forever to have a place. And I thought, what better place than the car that takes us toward it? Becky turned toward her then, eyes glassy but full of affection. You think of everything, she said softly. Every tiny thing I forget, you remember. That's because you're my favorite memory, Freen whispered back. And for a while, they just sat there in silence, their hands entwined, the soft hum of music fading into the background. The crowd had dispersed, but the moment lingered, suspended between laughter and tears, wrapped in love and moonlight. When they finally drove off together later that night, the car gliding smoothly beneath the stars, the guests cheered one last time. Becky waved through the window, tears in her eyes, her veil fluttering in the wind. Freen kept one hand on the wheel and the other clasped around Becky's fingers. They didn't need words anymore. The surprise had already said everything. In the days that followed, media outlets couldn't stop talking about it. Headlines read things like Freen's wedding gift for Becky breaks the internet, and a love story painted in pink. Fans everywhere replayed the moment over and over, mesmerized not by the extravagance, but by the sincerity behind it. And in one interview later that week, Becky was asked what she felt the moment she saw the car. She smiled, that soft, radiant smile that melted hearts every time, and said, it wasn't about the car. It was about what it meant. Freen listens to me, even when I talk about silly little dreams. That's love. Being seen, being heard, being remembered. Those words spread across social media like wildfire, quoted under photos, shared with captions like find someone who listens like Freen. And Freen, ever humble, posted just one thing on her page that night, a picture of Becky's hand resting on the pink hood with the caption, "You are my favorite color." That post alone gathered millions of likes within hours. People across the world commented that love had never looked so gentle, so real, so possible. Because that's what Freen and Becky's story had become, a reminder that love isn't about grand gestures alone, but the meaning behind them. It's about remembering the small things, cherishing the quiet details, and turning even a simple dream into a forever promise. And maybe that's why the image of the pink car under the fairy lights will never fade. It wasn't just metal and paint. It was a symbol of thoughtfulness, of patience, of a love that listened. That night, as the world watched two souls drive off together, one thing became clear. The most beautiful surprises are the ones that speak without saying a single word.